dear friends and architects. Welcome back from the coffee break. Now we are having the third session dedicated to Tallinn Architecture's Biennale Vision competition. And we have a big honor that we have two guests from Estonia who were part of the curator team and part of the jury. I get to know Karin Tougu first in this year's September when I was in Tallinn for listening to her presentation about the division competition, and I was there with my students from the Faculty of Architecture. And what I was really impressed was the level of works presented for this competition, and also how well it all was organized. Even afterwards, we see pretty good and I would say superior quality magazines and summaries of the project, and very good all the web design and graphical design. So first person from Estonia will be Karin Tougu. I must say and promote some information about her. That first is that she is also one of the founding members of an interdisciplinary office for architecture and art, and this office is being pretty new, already mentioned with several projects. They have won awards for architecture competition for object in Tartu, in Viljandi, and in Rakvere, which are three pretty big cities right after the city of Tallinn itself. And so Karin will tell about the vision competition and about the works, and I think she will go deeper through all the first three prizes, explaining. No? Who will go through the first three? Okay, sorry, Inga will go through the three parts. So about the competition in general, get it right?
Thank you for your introduction. It was really thorough. And yes, I am Karin. I'm part of the Tallinn Architecture Biennale curator team. And on behalf of the team and the Biennale, I'm going to introduce one part, a little bit talk about the Biennale itself, the topic, recycling socialism, and then I go more into the vision competition, which results you could also see upstairs on the second floor. I think it's about 1/3 of what we received all in all. So the Biennale that was happening in Tallinn in September this year, it had the title Recycling Socialism that we as curators proposed. And our central question was how and what to recycle from these spaces, architecture, even ideas and maybe also materials. So our goal was to draw attention to this Soviet period architecture and also find new values and perspectives for this modernist architecture. And the structure of the Biennale, we had kind of 4 main events. It was the vision competition that already took place in spring, then a symposium with presentations, curators exhibition with the invited participants, and architecture schools exhibition. And I just briefly tell that the curators exhibition focused on some landmark buildings in Tallinn, and it was looking for new visions and proposals, kind of quite artistic and creative proposals for these buildings. And so the vision competition, on the other hand, focused on a larger area. We picked this one iconic shaped environment in Tallinn, which is one of the 3 main block housing districts in Tallinn, and it's actually the smallest one. So we wanted to make a balance between these objects, like these architectural landmarks and the everyday living environment. So that also the area where really many Tallinn residents live is also under this, or is kind of focused on by architects and by us. Because it's quite interesting that almost 2/3 of Tallinn inhabitants live in this, live in the buildings that are built during in the period from 60s to 80s, and most of them are the apartment buildings and only few individual or private houses. So a little bit about the area. It's called Väike Õismäe or Little Blossom Hill in translation. It's set in western part of Tallinn by lake and sea and Tallinn Zoo. And it was built quite quickly. It was mostly more or less finished in the end of 70s, and the design is laid out by superstar Estonian architects of the Soviet period, Mart Port and Malle Meelak. And the plan also got an award, a national award in the 80s. So, yes. It was originally planned for a bit over, it was 35,000 inhabitants planned to be there, but today only a bit over 20,000 are living there. So it's the smallest of these areas, as I already mentioned. One of the strongest characters is, of course, the circular plan, and the kind of main public space idea behind it is that around the pond in the middle there are schools and kindergartens, and it's a pedestrian area there. It's seen as a great potential. But on the other hand, this circular form is also a limitation, because in my mind it looks so complete, and it maybe creates this illusion that it's done and it's there and it's okay, so as it is. That's also maybe why it hasn't been under much attention of architects in Estonia lately, as compared to this other two areas. Mustamäe, which is the oldest, that has had vision conferences and articles written about, and also the biggest one with 100,000 inhabitants, Lasnamäe, that is still kind of unfinished, and a lot of questions and ideas have been going on about that. But Õismäe always has been kind of set aside. So we raised the questions how to revive this strict modernist environment, and what is there to do to make the environment better now and also better for the future. So in March we announced the vision competition. Actually the topic was worked out together with Tallinn city architect Hendrik Mänd, so already the Tallinn planning department was involved in making the brief for the competition. And it continued with jury work in May and awards and exhibition in September during the Biennale. So in one way it's quite a fast process, but I think it has a great potential to continue. And it was organized by Estonian Center of Architecture and also the City Planning Department, as I mentioned. And about jury, I think Inga will present the jury herself. But now I will talk about the task or the aims that we had with the competition. Because it's such a large area, and in one way it's kind of like well, the shape is so concrete, so On one hand, it seems like an easy task to make a competition to this area, but on the other hand, we really had to figure out what to ask from the competitors. And the main goal was to have these visionary works and proposals, not to go into too many details or really some really precise legal or technical matters. So we wanted to keep it visionary so it would fit to the overall Biennale format, which is a bit artistic and so an artistic way of looking into architecture in one way. But we invited the landscape architects and urbanists and the students, so it was already a quite wide range of potential participants. And as we didn't want to define ourselves too much what the outcome should be, but we were more looking for possibilities, and then also an outsider's view. So we wanted to make the task very loose, where we described the area and asked for, where we, from our side, we described some of the problems and described the area, but what we asked from the participants was that they themselves really dig into this topic of these modernist residential areas, and from their experiences or maybe previous work find what could be the values or qualities for these areas, and then see if they apply to väikeõismäe or on the other hand really go into this väikeõismäe environment and find something from there that inspires them. So we wanted to keep it very open for all kinds of proposals, that people who are really interested in these residential houses could make their proposal, and other landscape architects who work more with parks and public spaces, they also could. So it would be a variety and also diverse examples that we then later during the Biennale and also afterwards with the locals and with the city planners and architects could look and analyze and go further from there, from these examples. So not to make it too strict and predefined, we kept it very open. But we said that it's very important to describe the method or the ideology and then make a proposal in an overall planning scale and also zoom in architectural or detail scale, so that the proposals would be comparable to each other, which is also very important in a competition, because if you leave it very open, the task, then it could be almost anything. But I think it worked quite well that way, that the participants had to really focus on this zoom in and zoom out, and to make clear what they want to say and which qualities or important things they find. And also we included a case study, so that as it was an international competition, that everybody hasn't been to the place and seen it themselves, it would be a little help to get in touch. And there was actually the struggle or a hard task to find the balance, if not to be too critical towards the environment, and on the other hand not to be too optimistic, because if I went through the articles written during 70s and 80s, it was all like glory and happiness. But maybe some more contemporary reflections were a bit too negative to really put them into the brief, like describing some maybe some criminal things or things that had happened during the 90s. So it was really trying to find the balance and not to, again, point out too many, too precise problems, to just keep it like as an inspiration. Yeah, that was quite long, so we wrote about residents, the environment, functions, the buildings, types there. And one also really important thing about the competition was that we added a quite big list of materials there. So we had the regular CAD drawing or the plan, but also drawings of the buildings existing there, and images, both historical and contemporary, and also one bit more poetic approach, a text or a memory by a former inhabitant who is now a film director. So he had his, he could write really so that you could kind of see this place in a way. I felt that was a good addition, because as we were describing the brief more trying to be really objective, then he could just express himself. So that was, here is just a collection of some of the materials that could, that we tried to, on one way, wake the inspiration, and on the other hand, just give as much information as possible about the area. I've been really fast. So, and that's more or less about the competition brief and the task. I don't know if you want to ask questions later. Okay, later. But now maybe Inga can talk about the works.